Revenge Films.
My name is Inaho. I'm married to my husband Kataro and run a farm. We don't have children yet. Our family has been full-time farmers for generations, with fairly extensive land and years of expertise. My parents are still actively working, and the four of us work hard at farming together. Recently, our vegetables have been featured as local specialty vegetables, increasingly appearing on local TV and radio. We often hear feedback from people who've eaten them saying, "It was delicious." As a result, we started receiving offers not only from restaurants within the prefecture, but from outside the prefecture as well. However, I made it a policy to decline such offers. The former president had bowed his head and asked us after all. The former president of the high-end restaurant was particular about ingredients.
"I would really like to use Inaho's vegetables."
He even came all the way to our home and bowed his head. My family was moved by his enthusiasm, and we deliver most of our harvested vegetables to that high-end restaurant. And as our vegetables gained a reputation, the former president's high-end restaurant expanded to 3 locations.
"Many customers come specifically for Inaho's vegetables. We've been able to succeed this far thanks to your vegetables."
The former president often said this. Though there was a difference in our positions as president and contract farmer, we had an equal relationship. Just when I thought things would continue going well, the former president suddenly passed away. He wasn't old enough to die of natural causes. He was still quite young. It was so sudden that the workplace fell into chaos, but eventually the former president's only son ended up taking over the high-end restaurant. Will that rumored son really be okay? This was probably everyone's honest feeling. The man who became the second-generation president had once joined his father's high-end restaurant as an employee, but couldn't properly handle it. And even at 30 years old, he spent his time idly playing around and begging money from his wealthy family. The line he said when he threw in the towel and quit his job was incredible.
"I'm the future president, someone who gives orders."
Apparently that line was his catchphrase, and he said it constantly. This was the talk about the heir to a famous local restaurant. I figured the gossip must have been exaggerated somewhat, but I would later learn it was worse than the rumors. The second-generation president of the high-end restaurant suddenly called our place.
"Cut the price of all vegetables in half starting tomorrow. Farmers without contracts are just peasants. Obviously you won't refuse, right?"
No, I refuse. Half price is absolutely impossible. In that case, we'll stop delivering to all 3 locations.
Huh? For real?
That's the kind of exchange we ended up having. However, immediately after the second-generation president took over, surprisingly few problems occurred. Contrary to expectations, the management of the high-end restaurant seemed reasonably smooth for the time being. That's because the former president had completely set the business on track. There were veteran employees and excellent suppliers. A flow had been established where things would go reasonably well even if left alone. Besides, regular customers who become attached don't suddenly leave just because the president changed. The recognition and reputation were inherited. Since the restaurant and taste were all the same, it was natural that customers didn't leave. It seems surprisingly okay. If the second-generation president is satisfied just being a figurehead, maybe things will work out. That's what I thought, but gradually bad rumors started to be heard. The second-generation president had originally worked as an employee at the high-end restaurant, so there were many employees he was familiar with. He apparently held grudges against those who had trained him in the past, making unreasonable complaints and yelling at them. It seems he even forcibly fired some long-term veteran employees. Naturally, the workplace morale hit rock bottom. They were short-staffed, too. As a result, dirt became noticeable in the restaurant and complaints about customer service became audible. But that wasn't all. The second-generation president's catchphrase was cost reduction. Apparently, laying off the veteran employees with high salaries was part of reducing labor costs. Next, he set his sights on our premium vegetables. In the middle of the night, I suddenly got a phone call, and the first thing said was,
"Farmers are such greedy bastards, aren't they? You guys, you're way too greedy. Such a high purchase price for mere vegetables is ridiculous."
Who is this rude person? I was surprised when a man suddenly started talking to me in such casual language. Who is this?
Huh? Our place is the only one buying your vegetables, right? Then figure it out. Geez, farmers are incompetent.
Is this the second-generation president?
That's right.
I don't think people can normally tell unless you introduce yourself.
I'm not like you low-income farmers. I'm the manager of a high-end restaurant. My time is valuable. So what's wrong with getting straight to the point? And don't you dare talk back to me when I'm buying your vegetables.
I was shocked by such terrible words.
Listen, you guys got special treatment because you were buddy-buddy with my old man, the former president, right?
Huh? What are you talking about?
Don't play dumb. The only reason he bought mere vegetables at those prices was because you sweet-talked the old man into buying them high, right? I know you can buy much cheaper ones at local supermarkets.
We're particular about quality.
There's no such thing as quality in vegetables. They're all the same. A radish is a radish. A carrot is a carrot.
Angry sounds echoed. Even radishes have varieties, and there are differences in quality. Things called premium vegetables.
Shut up! Don't talk back to me, the president, you peasant! What I'm saying is, your vegetables are too expensive! Cut the price of all vegetables in half, starting tomorrow! Farmers without contracts are nothing but peasants! Obviously, you won't refuse, right?
No, I refuse. Half price is absolutely impossible. In that case, we'll stop delivering to all 3 locations.
Huh? For real?
The second-generation president raised his voice in surprise, but quickly returned to his usual tone.
Oh, you're just saying that in the heat of the moment, right? You just blurted it out? You'll regret it. If you don't cut it to half price, the contract ends, and then your life ends too. Got it? Half price starting tomorrow.
After saying just that, the second-generation president hung up. Without even hearing my response? I was dumbfounded. Of course we didn't comply with such an unreasonable and one-sided demand. We delivered at the usual price. The familiar employees handled it normally. I consulted with my husband and parents about the second-generation president. Considering potential problems in the future, I contacted the restaurants that had made offers before. Multiple establishments said they'd want Inaho's vegetables right away if available. A few days later, the second-generation president called again.
Why didn't you cut all the vegetables to half price?
There's no way I'd accept such an outrageous demand. Just so you know, the selling point of your high-end restaurant is our vegetables, you know.
I know that. That's why the president himself is graciously calling you. Be grateful.
I'm not grateful at all, because if we sell at half price, we operate at a loss.
Not being able to sell at half price is your lack of effort. Don't use your lack of effort as an excuse. Be ashamed as a working adult to make such excuses. Make an effort to sell at half price while maintaining current quality.
I refuse. Besides, as I told you the other day, the transaction is over. You agreed that if we don't cut to half price, the contract ends. Well then, excuse me.
What? Are you serious?
I'm serious. I hung up the phone. I judged it impossible to continue business with this outrageously unreasonable second-generation president. My husband and parents agreed. All 3 restaurant locations temporarily closed. This was because they could no longer obtain their signature local vegetables. This incident, combined with the firing of veteran employees, apparently made the restaurant unable to continue operating. The second-generation president was apparently torn apart by family and relatives due to the worsening business conditions. Soon, the former president's wife would assume the position of third-generation president. She came to bow her head, saying, "Please supply your vegetables to us," and explain the situation. By the way, the second-generation president would work as a regular employee to straighten out his character, she said. He was demoted from president all the way down to the lowest position.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.